Cheeto Apparel, clothing and speak, always delivering the message. About to go live here in a minute. Peace, peace. You see it. All right, Cheeto Apparel, clothing and speak, always delivering the message. About to get into it. All right, we talking about sexual energy, transmutation of that sexual energy into creative energy. What's good? Peace to you. All right. About to set it with some audio. We got 1 minute. 5:55 on the dot. Right. It is 5:55 if you're looking at your clock right now. The time we about to get into this, I'm just about to play some audios in the background to drown out the background noise. Play this a little bit. Gonna turn it down. Peace, peace. Hey, how you doing? What are we gonna talk about? So we're talking about sexual energy and the transmutation of sexual energy into creative energy. We're also going to tap into the challenge for November. We're going to talk about that and what that's going to encompass. We're going to do some high-level connections amongst people, amongst brothers, and sisters with No Nut November, right? We're going to talk a little bit about No Nut November, but we're going to get into the concept of the transmutation, right? So sexual energy is creative energy, right? And once we understand that sexual energy is creative energy, we'll one be able to tap into this space that we're in now, where there is a heightened sense of sexual energy. Drop a little note in the chat if you are feeling or have been feeling a high, intense vibration of sexual energy come amongst you, right? Be honest, be real, right? It's not a thing to be shameful about. It's not a thing to neglect or ignore. We've been in those paradigms where we ignore sexual energy and put it in a box, and we know what that turns into, right? We know how that energy festers, and then it comes back to rear its face in many different ways. So it's about, one, embracing sexual energy and understanding that sexual energy is creative energy, right? And you put this energy that you're feeling in your body and you just guide it in the direction. Can't ignore it. It's going to come out, because we know one thing about energy in the quantum world. Energy is neither lost or destroyed. It's just transferred from one party to the next. So if energy is being transferred continuously throughout the interaction of different people in different situations, right? One is very irresponsible to take away one of the most powerful energies we conjure up, which is our sexual energy, right? That is the energy that sells, right? And so when we understand this from a military science, when we understand this from psychological operations, we understand this from subliminal messaging, marketing, advertising, we understand that sex sells. Why is sex selling? It's the energy that's tethered to the sexual energy that, one, garnishes the individual's attention, thus taking their energy. And once we realize that sexual energy is a way that energy is being transferred in abundance, then we understand the currency that is being exchanged with energies, and we'll be more disciplined with our sexual energy, and we'll value it more, right? One, to value it, you got to accept it as valuable, right? Because one can't see something as value unless they know the value in it, right? And when we talk about spaces of creation, right, we look at people who've been in spaces where they've created things, right? They went into space where they had a lot of solitude with their sexual energy, whether that's practices of abstinence or a space where they put their energy into building something or directed their energy into something. It wasn't that they had a lack of sexual energy. It was that their energy, their sexual energy, was transmuted into creative energy, right? And when we understand the hierarchy of creation, creating a baby is the lowest stage of creation. So our sexual energy, we know, can produce a baby, but that's the lowest state of creation, right? We're talking about tapping into higher levels of creation when it comes to sexual energy and understanding sexual energy, right? And this understanding leads into what we're going to do in No Nut November, which I'm going to talk about at the end of this particular live lecture. But I want to tap into a couple things, right? So this symbol, right? The beauty of what the ancients did is they understood that, right? Creativity and creative expression was a way to decode and code messages and leave messages that were timeless. So one may look at this symbol and they will call this, you know, the Eye of Horus, the Eye of Ra, or they will mark this as an artifact that resembles something that was depicted as a representation of someone. But this is coded. This is science and mathematics, because all of the imagery, all of the hieroglyphics was all about containing messages, right? Because we understand the mind, and the subconscious mind works three ways: repetition, symbols, and trauma. That is what feeds the subconscious mind, period, blank. Well, we see repetition, right? We see repetition in the music. We see repetition on our daily practice, in our diets. We eat 3 meals a day. We get up and we go to work at this time. We work 8 hours a day. There's repetition built in a societal structure because that's what programs the subconscious mind, right? We see it with symbols. Everything is symbols, whether we understand it or not. All these shapes, symbols, and this is why it's important that we utilize the Dinkra symbols within our imagery and our art, because we understand the power of symbols, and these symbols, whether you know it or not, have deep meanings that resonates to the subconscious mind, which absolutely allows us to reprogram the subconscious mind, right? But back to this symbol, right? This symbol is a code message of mathematics and science, right? This is not just the eye or representation of the third eye, right? This is how we communicate and utilize our senses. This is how we communicate with the universe. So this symbol is a representation of our 6 senses. Now, we are taught that we have 5 senses, right? The sense that was taken out of, that got us to 5, was thought. Thought is not a contemporary sense. We got 5 of them. Thought is taken out. Now, tell me how irresponsible we are as a society or a structure that lives off of the 5 senses mentality, when thought is not a sense, but we think all the time. But it's not a sense, all right? It's not a sense, but we think a lot, but it's not a sense. But we're in the accepted mindset where people will say, I can't control what I think, because your mind has been programmed by the things that you ingest in your diet, whether you eat it, whether you see it, whether you touch it, whether you taste it, whether you smell it, right? But we are not in control of our thoughts. And because we are not in control of our thoughts, we are very immature as the way that we think, thus leading to where we are at with the mental health pandemic. Because if we can't control our mind and we can't control our thoughts, and we are being programmed and fed fear, what is the mind going to turn into? The mind is going to turn into fear-like behaviors. And that's just how the process works, right? But we have to take ownership of adding this sense back to our senses. We got 6 senses. It's like the movie, The Sixth Sense, when he was talking to his ancestors and connecting to the ancestors, right? And this is why the sense of thought is so important, is it transcends time. The sense of thought transcends time, meaning you could tap into your ancestries, right? You could tap into thoughts that were not of this lifetime, right? You would tap into ideas or things that's not created yet. You know what I mean? So thought is not bounded by time. That's why it's a very powerful sense. But if you look at the hierarchy of our senses, and this is why I tell people this all the time when I'm vending, I'm speaking, right? It shows the mathematical breakdown of each one of these senses. And at the top, you see smell, right? And people like smell. Smell is connected to memory. Again, smell is connected to memory, right? When you're outside and was a little kid, was playing all day, wasn't hungry, wasn't even thirsty. But soon as you smell mom cooking that chicken, boy, it tapped into all of the sensories. You got hungry like that, right? Because smell is connected to our memory. So it's important to surround yourself with high vibrational frequencies as it relates to what we are ingesting with the sense of smell. Smell is key to tapping into memories. That's why if you visit places that you have never been and you smell the environment, it could tap into a whole different mind space, right? Because you're tapping into memories that's connected to a deep part of you that you were just unlocking because of those smells and those memories. And that's important. That's why in this environment where, you know, we are fed that there is a global pandemic as it relates to this a virus or viral infection, right? 95% of all viral infections are upper respiratory, meaning that they travel through the nasal cavity, right? This is because of the power of our sense, right? The power of our sense connecting to our memory. So if there is an environment that keeps the nasal cavity clogged, then that will block the memory that's going to the mind that we can tap in to changing our situation. So understand how important it is to put yourself in spaces with fragrances and smells that is of nature, of natural, and those environments that are conducive to tapping into those memories, right? But that's something that, you know, I want to tap into with this symbol, because this is a symbol that I use a lot within the brand. You know, got the sleeve, say woke. That's what woke is. It's being aware of the power that we have as it relates to our senses. If you're not connected to our senses, we're not able to tap into the different things that we are able to be as our full being and how we communicate with the universe. And how does this relate to sexual energy and a transmutation, right? All of our power is connected to our senses, right? And if you look at that chart again, you will see at the bottom it's touch, and right above that is taste. And when most people become more consciously aware, they start at the bottom and say, I'm going to change my diet. I'm going to change the environments of the people that I touch and connect with on a sexual level, right? And then that thus will make me healthy. That will make me consciously aware. But it's other levels to channel up to. It's, controlling your mind and guiding your thoughts, getting to be in a space where you can meditate and clear your mind, being in a space where you can put yourself in environments where you can breathe, right? Right? That whole saying, stop and smell the roses is real deep once you start to understand the power of senses, right? We talking about take a time to really tap in to who you are and what it is, right? If you look at the rose, it's beautiful. It's all these other things that gets about love. It's all that. But when you really smell a rose, what does it really smell like? It smells like some boo-boo, right? You know what I mean? So stop and smell the roses means stop, slow down, and just breathe. Really connect with the environment. Really connect to what really matters, right? Because when we moving and bustling and fussing all around, we sometimes miss the big picture. We sometimes miss the message that we seeking in the chase of the message, not realizing we gotta all go within to get that message. So transmutation, right? And one of the forms and the major forms of taking this high intense sexual energy and transmuting it into creative energy is through self-love, masturbation, right? And when we talk about masturbation, we think like in this tantric expression of love and of self and environment. It's like it's about sustaining from the release. No, it's about being very intentional about the release and being very guided with intents. And so in this self-love expression of masturbation, right, it's important to know that there is no goals, just intentions. Right? And to also understand that you could fail with good intentions. You could fail with good intentions. And the failure itself is not the loss or the blessing. It's all about learning, right? It's all about the opportunity to grow, the opportunity to thrive, right? Because a lot of times if we look at our life, failures is what really propels us to the other side. When we talk about those three methods, right? We talk about repetition, symbols, and the trauma, right? Most adults over 25 are really only learning lessons through trauma. Trauma is what's guiding them and tapping into their subconscious mind to be able to adapt. Now, some situations can be so traumatic that people don't learn the lessons, right? But understanding that your intent is what you need to focus on in this process. So when you set the environment to do this particular practice or this particular ritual, I call it a self-love ritual that I do once a month, right? You want to set intentions, not goals. Oh, I want to make this money. Oh, I want to do this, right? What is your intent, right? What are you trying to impact, right? Speak on the intent of what you're trying to do, not the goal, not to set the goal. Like, I want to be able to, connect with people. I want to be able to change lives. I want to be able to build relationships, right? And talk about the details. Get very particular in the things that you want to do. Not only, express it through words. How does it feel? How does it smell? How does this environment make you feel, right? How do other people feel because of this environment? What is the collective space and atmosphere that you create? You're creating a storyboard. You're visualizing, creating a whole storyboard of how this is going to unfold, by what you want to do, what you want to add to it. So intent is very important in that process. The next is, create a comfortable environment. The thing about sexual energy is sexual energy can only move when it's comfortable. Let me say that again. Sexual energy can only move when it is comfortable. So if you are uncomfortable, sexual energy will not move. You ever been in a situation you wasn't comfortable? It ain't flowing. It ain't gonna flow. If you're in a situation and you're coming to that point and it's not comfortable, no flow is happening. Things are moving, but the flow, the essence of sexual energy that is flowing, it is not moving. It is rigid. It is stagnant. It is frustrated, right? It is grinding, right? It is going against the grain, right? So you got to set a comfortable environment. It has to be, the right sounds, the right smells, the right temperature. It just has to feel right. And when you feel that state of comfortability, everything is going to flow. So you have to be comfortable. You have to be comfortable. All right. Set a time intentions. Like, this was very intentional with 555, the angel number 555, talking about massive change, and the energy of the 5 is a free expression, right? And so, sexual energy is easy to be translated into the number 5 just because the shape of the 5, right? Because we talk about these symbols, each number has a symbol. The way the 5 is it's flat at the top, then it goes down, it goes up and down, and then it swoops around. It's got a nice little curve, and they say, it's not the size of the booty that matters, that beguiles a man. It's the shape. It's the curve. It's that curve of that 5. The way that 5 just wrap around. It ain't got to be this big, but if it curve right, it look right, it feel right, and it stimulates, right? So sexual energy is a power, right? It's a power. It's a power. There is a reason why there are so many pornography sites. There's a reason why, there are all these commercials and advertisement that have sex. If you're sitting down and you're watching a movie and there's a sex scene, the movie can't be that great. I guarantee you will garnish the intention of the more people watching it when the sex scene comes on, even if the sex scene is only for 15 seconds. Because that intense moment of sexual energy gains intention, right? So it's not to demean it. It's not to marginalize it. It's to embrace it and to understand the power of it, and being very intentional when you're using this energy. Be very intentional of what are you trying to garnish when you're utilizing this energy, right? What are you trying to give? What are you trying to bring to you, right? What are you trying to bring to you? Or what are you trying to release? Because that's what sexual energy is about. It's about attracting energy in and bringing out. It's an exchange, right? We talk about sex being an exchange when one is having sex, right? There is an exchange of energy. But always, anytime you put yourself in a position where you are releasing or you are attracting the attention of utilizing your sexual energy, there's exchange happening. And understanding that power is extremely important. Extremely important. So the shame that's tethered to sex or sexual energy, we got to put that aside. That's only going to block you, right? There has to be no shame in who you are as you express yourself as relates to sexual energy. Because what we're trying to do here is we're trying to transmute it. So we're trying to take the sexual energy and we're trying to transmute it into what it really is, right? We talking about the alchemy of it. We're trying to turn this into creativity, right? And the lack of creativity is largely induced by the rigidness of the sexual energy. If you look at people in your life that are the rigidest people, they are the people that are not really connected to themselves sexually, right? And when they're not connected to themselves sexually, they can't create. They can't think outside of the box that they've been put in, or the ideas that have been driven into their mind through those programmings of the subconscious mind, through repetition symbols of trauma. They can't get out that box, right? So sexual energy, creative energy, is also healing energy. That's what it is. We create to heal. Once you create, you're addicted to you're addicted to creation because it is healing. It heals you. When you create, you heal. You know what I mean? Just like when you have birth and you bring life into it, right? So what does it say about a person who now creates a child and runs the fuck off? Rigid. They're not connected to themselves sexually, and they're rigidly, and they're disconnected with the actual ability to create, which means they have a whole bunch of healing that needs to happen. Because this is the thing. Once you start transmuting it into creative energy, the healing will come. Now, if you're not ready for the healing part, what do? You run away from all of that shit. You ain't ready for none of it, right? And you just put blockers up where you shame other people for expressing themselves sexually because of the box you're in. You're in this glass box like, nah, man, what you doing with that? Because we're not able to heal from ourselves. So we point at other people who's doing other things in their expression of freedom and their expression of flowing sexual energy, and we demonize it, right? It's the concept of men who glamorize the whole culture but demonize it at the same time. That shit don't make no sense. You want a girl to go twerk so you can watch it, and you watch it, and you go home and you listen to, you watch it when you in your room, you watching porn. But soon as you get your chick out here and your girl doing the same thing, you shaming her. You like that shit, but you shaming her. It don't make much sense, right? But that's a sign of massive healing that needs to happen. And when you're in a space where you are very expressive sexually, and you are, in the process of turning this sexual energy into creative energy, and others start to cast lights on you like, what you doing? That ain't how it's supposed to work. It's getting past that, but also identifying, I need to put myself in environments where people keep comfort around me. I can't have people shaming me in this space, because this space is about my healing, and nobody can come between you and your healing, right? That's an important thing. No one can come in between your healing. So it's as you know yourself more, you see other people more. The more you know yourself, the more you see other people. This is the beauty of it. The self-discovery, or the self-awareness of this state of wokeness, is about seeing yourself so you can better see others and as it relates to yourself. And that's critical, right? And so, after you get to those intentions, it's about breath, right? Understand it's about breath work. Everything is about breathing. No matter what you're doing, when you're running, you're breathing. You lifting weights, it's about breath. Everything is about breath. This is why yoga is by far the best way to exercise. Honestly, some people will say it's the only actual exercise, because exercise is literally, the definition of it is breathing. It's literally breath work, right? And so the only exercise that has breath work that doesn't impale the body or puts the body in a damaging state is yoga, because it is actually moving the energy, right? It is a sacred practice, right? Because you're tapping in to the shape of who you are, and you're expanding it, and you're allowing the energy to flow, and there is a massive amount of people who need to get into the space of understanding and practicing yoga not just for their mental health and their physical health, but their spiritual health as it relates to their sexual energy, and to release a lot of those blocked areas within their body that they have from the traditional workouts like lifting weights, which creates blocks from energy flows. Playing basketball, playing football, you might look strong, your physique might look right, but how is your energy flowing? You can't even touch your toes, right? Your back messed up. And this was a revelation when I'm sitting in the doctor. I'm 35, played basketball all my life. It was a way that I dealt with my mental health and got off some steam. Sat down at the doctor. He told me, hey, you 35, but your knees 55. Hey, you 35, but them kneecaps, them jokes 55. So I could easily say, oh man, you out here smoking and drinking, you aging yourself, right? You know, because you 35-year-old, you smoke and you got 55-year-old lungs. But I play basketball, I'm 35 with 55-year-old knees. It's the same thing. I was addicted to it. It was addicted to that. It was the method that we use to deal with our mental health, right? But how are we going to get to the healing? Yoga is the primary way because it flows. It ensures that energy is able to flow through the body as our body expands and allows that energy flow. Through the breath work, we're able to move this energy. So breath becomes a huge part. And the primary method of breath work is the box method. The box method is simple. We can do it right now, right? Let's say the count is 5. 5 seconds, we're going to breathe in. 5 seconds, we're going to hold. 5 seconds, we're going to breathe out. 5 seconds, we're going to hold. So go in. And then you repeat. You can do 3 seconds. You can do 4 seconds. But get to certain intervals and just keep expanding. Just like when you're expanding your flexibility as you stand, start with 3 seconds. 3 seconds in, 3 seconds hold, 3 seconds out, 3 seconds hold, build up to 4 seconds, build up to 5 seconds, build up to, just keep expanding your breath work, because that the essence of your breath is life. Breath is life. What is consciousness? Breath. Breath is consciousness, right? Breath is consciousness, right? So when you are unconscious, what is happening? Your body is working. Your heart is working. Your brain is working. What is stopped? You stop breathing. That's what consciousness is. It's breath work. So if we're not very intentional with our breath, or we don't understand the power of our breath, we missing the whole point. Because all we doing, if we know there's always an energy exchange, how we ain't got valves and pumps to pump air through? Why we ain't very intentional with the airflow if we know energy is being moved through our body on a day-to-day basis and it's being changed? I want to be able to have a natural flow of energy, right? One way is speaking. When we speak, right, we sing, right, we rap, we use our throat chakra to move energy and breathe in different, tones and inflections through our speech. But breath work is intentional, right? It's a powerful essence to flow through energy. So when you get into your self-love ritual, got to be very intentional about your breath work. That's critical, right? And I wrote all this down so I didn't forget anything. Next is touching the secondary zones on your body. Now we know when we get into self-love, man or women, we start going straight to the genitals, right? We go straight to work, right? That's where it is. But we got to start in the secondary zones, right? We got to look at our entire essence of who we are and say, you know what? I do like to be kissed on the neck, or I do like the inner thigh area. And we just start touching ourselves in those secondary areas, right? The areas of our bodies and the crevices of our bodies that sometimes get neglected, right? If you got knee issues, start on your knee. Just touch your knee. Be very sensual. Be very intentional with every touch. Like you're healing it. Like you're just moving energy through that area, moving heat towards that area, releasing stress and tension in that area. Be very intentional with your thoughts as you're doing this, right? And you start in those secondary zones, and then you work your way into the hot spots, as they would call them. But be very intentional about getting into those secondary areas of who you are. Don't just go straight to the game. You know what I mean? There's a foreplay that's associated with self-love, right? There's a foreplay, right? There's a foreplay, and that's the rest of the totality of who you are. You know, this is something as simple as kissing your hands. Like, have you ever tried that? Like, I find myself to be a profound kisser, right? Profound, right? It's because I felt my own kiss. I mean, you just gotta know the depth of it, right? How much pressure, right? How slow before you connect. Like, all these things are very important. Now, if you don't know yourself, you can't be revealed to anything outside of yourself. So that's the beauty of it. Once you know yourself, it's easy to get people around you. It's easy to understand people around you. That becomes instantaneous. It becomes like second nature. The massive equation is you. That's the massive equation that has to be solved, is you. Once you get you, you just apply that equation to everything outside of you. And if it don't jive, it don't jive. And if it jive, it's smooth. It's connected. It's flowing, right? And that's important for us to understand, right? Also, patience. Patience. In life, we learn, alone you go fast, right? Alone you go fast, but together you go far. So understand that there's a journey being taken, but take your time. The tortoise and the hare. Take your time. Be able to feel. Don't miss anything. Stop and smell the roses, right? Be able to connect with yourself and take a pace where it's no rush. It's no goal. It's no destination. Only intentions. Only intentions. What is your intent, right? Set your intentions in the beginning. That's the first step. But be very patient and deliberate with how you express those intents. Right? And take it slow. So, the last few things is use lubrication and sounds, right? So you see background sounds, but I'll turn this up, but use the frequency of sounds. That's very critical. Like, these sounds have frequency that heal us, right? And each sound, as it connects to our vibration, and we're able to tap into different emotions based on the frequency and the sounds that we are around. You ever, seeing someone raise their voice in a certain way, and that inflection, it just throws you off balance, right? But in some instances where somebody whispers something in your ear, very sensual, that sound, that sense, puts you at a state of ease, puts you at a state of comfort. So get yourself in a relaxed place where you are very intentional with the sound. But not only that, make sounds, right? This is one thing that many men need to very understand, and women as well, right? When you're in the process of expressing your love, right? And you're stimulating this sexual energy, make sounds, moan, right? Feel, release, right? Is the ejaculation the only release? No, release the sounds, the vibrations, the frequency, all of these erratic sounds that we have in our ears from all this music and all this construction and all this traffic. We got to release these sounds to the moan. Holding back that is like getting to the point where you're doing the work and then you're not even able to produce anything. Oh no, we're not gonna do it today. Well, I practiced all of this and we're not gonna perform. No, we done. Right? Those sounds are matter, and when you get in the practice of doing it with yourself, when you do it with a partner, I'm telling you, when you do it with a partner, it's going to be more impactful, and you're going to see the impact of the moan. The moan means something. So be very expressive. I'm not saying fake it, but just let it go. Let it come out. Let it be open. You know what I mean? Let you flow, right? Because we are abundance of flow. If energy is flowing, right, and we know it's flowing, and that's our intent to make it flow, some going to flow out. And the part that's going to flow out is the part that needs to, because we trusting ourselves, and that we guiding ourselves in the right space for that energy to flow out. Right? And that's critical, you know. And so, you know, self-love as it relates to sexual energy and as it relates to transmuting that into creative energy, it's important for us to understand the concept of masturbation, because, you know, as I mentor a lot of young men, I understand that there's a high sense of instant gratification in all aspects, including sex. And a lot of young men, I'm not just talking about like teenagers, I'm talking about 20, 25-year-old, even 30-year-old, practice masturbation and they done in 2 minutes. So if you practicing for 2 minutes, what you think you're gonna do in game time? Shit, you're gonna last for 3 minutes. So, you know, when I say set a time, 30 to 45 minutes, set a time. Shoot, sometimes you can set an hour, because whatever time you're setting in your practice, that's what you're preparing yourself when it's time to connect with a being. If you popping lows off in 2 minutes by yourself, what you think you practicing for? You practicing for the 3 minute premature ejaculation with a partner, because you're setting the repetition for your body. Oh, as soon as I do this, gone in 60 seconds. And that's not what the intent is. It's about taking your time. It's about being very intentional with every stroke, every movement of your body, knowing it. But again, once you start to know yourself, you know how to connect with a partner. And that's what it really is about. You know what I mean? If you know yourself, connecting with other people will be easier and one smoother and be more precise, because you have a guided and you have known intentions about what you're doing and how you're doing things. And you know how it feels. You know how it feels. So touch is very important in this process, but being very intentional, right? And that's the beginning steps of transmutation. Now, you can do transmutation without a release, which is meditation, breath work, yoga, right? You can do journaling, you can do writing, you can create things, right? You can do art, which is just a free form of expressing what's on your mind. You don't have to draw on it. And I tell people when you're doing art, this is why abstract art is so amazing, right? And it's like, why did that sell for $1 billion? Because it was abstract. It was created without a perfection guideline to duplicate. It was just expressed by somebody that was in this particular state, you know, and they understood that the state that this individual was in when they created this masterpiece, right? So be very expressive, you know. A lot of masterpieces are created on accident without any goal and time, just intent to create at a high level and express themselves in certain situations, certain environments. And that's what makes it valuable, right? So understanding that is crucial and it's key. So we're doing that because as the energy of October goes in to, you know, we're going to tap into, you know, we in the Libra, we're going to tap into the Scorpio going into November. We want to get some things out. We want to be able to work some things out as it relates to what are we trying to bring in? What are we trying to release? So October is a good month for release as we transition from the heightened sexual energy of September as it went from summer into fall. And so it's a lot of mixed emotions in September going into October. If you still have that high intensity of sexual energy, not common, we're going to take that into the Scorpio timeline. So this is the month to really release. This is the month to be really very intentional as we go into No Nut November, which is going to start on the 1st of November. And No Nut November, what is happening when we're withdrawing from, you know, the ejaculation, the orgasm, right? When we're withdrawing from it, we understand what's happening with the release, but the withdrawal it's a duality. It's both sides to this, right? So improved sleep, boost of immune system, boost of libido, sharp memory, relief depression, high energy, self-control, boosting confidence, strengthen hair, right? And able to take risks. So the level of fearlessness, the level of openness, getting out of those rigidness. This is what you'll be able to tap into when you're going into this no ejaculation, no orgasm month of November. But it's not just about abstaining from it. It's about setting intentions, because what we're going to do in this process, right? We're going to start a group, and weekly we're going to be doing check-ins. We're going to be doing Facebook Lives. We're going to be tapping in. I'll be having some people on the call. We can have conversations about what we feel. We're going to set intentions at the onset of this. This is what I want to. This is what I'm working on. This is what I'm building. This is the project that I'm connected to. These are the things that I'm trying to heal on myself. We're going to set all these intentions from an individual standpoint, and then we're going to come together and we're going to encourage each other. We're going to support each other. And this is something free. We're doing this on social media. This ain't something you got to pay for. This is something that's going to be free. And what I'm going to do, as a part of my brand, as just an ambassador of the energy of, No Nut November, is I'm going to do some giveaways. I'm going to do some donations. We're going to collaborate. I'm going to promote some people that's got some great ideas and some great projects. And then we come together and we could all support somebody that's doing something big. So it's just a way that we can come together collectively. We could transmute that sexual energy, right? All of this sexual energy and desires. We could bottle this up for ourselves and we could put it into projects, right? Because that's what we're going to do. We're going to transmute into creativity. And I would tell you, when I wrote the book, Mental Health Now, right? It was during the pandemic, right? 9 years I wanted to write this book. I wrote this book in 90 days. I was staying from any ejaculation for 90 days, and I wrote the book in 90 days, right? So what took me 9 years prior to come up with the idea, go through the process, say, oh man, I got to get this right. I got to 90 days abstaining from ejaculation. I was able to write that book, 90 days. So don't miss the power of abstaining, from the ejaculation, because that transmutation is critical. And I did it during this season. So into the end of September, high intentional sexual energy, and that's my birthday month as a Virgo. October, November, December, I released it at the end of December, and it was powerful. At certain points, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna get it in time, this and that, and I just start tapping into more, and then everything just started to flow. Everything just started to connect the dots. But I had a lot of people around me that was supporting me, and I put myself in an environment where I was not giving my energy away like I was prior. Like just being busy doing other people's projects, other people's stuff. I made it my priority. And that's what we're going to do in November. We're going to reprioritize our life as it comes to creation. We're going to prioritize the things that we want to create and the things that we want to build. And that's crucial. And so I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to being able to connect and do more lives. I plan on doing lives weekly. I want to do lives with people. I got a list of people that I already want to tap into and do lives with. I want to continue to build. And it's crucial. And I tell, if you look at my content, I tell people this a lot. Like in 2019, I really changed my environment as it relates to the people around me. Some of the people that I've known for a long time, I wouldn't say I cut them off, but it just kind of just went our separate ways. And I was in a space where I was just laser focused, and I reduced really a lot of the men that was in my life and around me in my life and I connect with. Not just saying they're not good brothers and good people, love them to death, family all the time, but I reorganized the people that I brought into my life, and I actually brought a lot of women into my life. And so a lot of the people that I build with today are women, right? And understand the value and the power of women, but also understand it's different intentions. It's different intentions. I think 10 years ago, if I was trying to get a woman's contact information or number, 9 times out of 10, I was trying to smash. That's just being real. 9 times out of 10, I don't have those same intentions. You know what I mean? Like those intentions are not the same. The first intentions is I see the value in them as it relates to how I can build and how I can provide value to them and how they can provide value to me. Right? I immediately see that beyond the beauty, beyond the attraction, beyond that, I see how can I build. When I see a woman, I want to connect with them. I see how they influence other people around them. I mean, just simple. You with 3 girls and you walking, I could tell I could tell who's going to garnish attention. I could tell who has the power as it relates to influencing other people. We talk about being influenced and this, and it ain't about how many followers you got, how many likes. Who can do it in real life? Who can connect in real life, right? And I could see that value because I know myself and I'm connected to myself on a deeper level. I'd be like, yep, instantly. Just like I was like, yep, I want to smash. I'm like, yep, I can build with you. It's just a different mindset. It's different intentions. And when men come into a space where we have different intentions, we're building with women, we'll see that, one, a lot of the connections that we relate as it relates to the opposite gender become very, very beneficial dual-headedly versus instant gratification, right? One-sided, right? Or in this position where the space is just short-lived. It's like this, a glimpse. 2 dates and you're out. 3 dates and you're out. 1 call and you're done, right? What are you trying to build? What are we trying to do, right? And I've been posting a lot of content like that because I feel like we really need to be able to tap into that and understand that. And understand that tapping into the sexual energy is very important to get to that space. Because if as a man we can't really understand sexual energy and the value of it and the space to be able to utilize it for ourselves, we'll never see the world how it really is as it relates to the energetic world. Because the majority of the energetic world is sexual energy. It's all sexual energy. That's what it is. We put here to create. So what you think we're creating? There's sexual energy all over the place. You know what I mean? It's all over the place. So tap into it and be intentional with it, right? And it's both sides. When you are expressing the sexual energy, be very intentional. I'm not saying you got to do X, Y, and Z or you can't do X, Y, and Z. Just be intentional about it. Be very intentional. And as you understand your intentions behind it, you see the power, right? Because, we're in a space where a lot of men are saying, well, women are too masculine. What? We don't even know what masculinity is because now we have coming into a space where so many women are expressing the divine feminine energy, and we have lost what masculinity is, that we then see divine feminine as masculine. And that's just not the case, right? That's just not the case, And so to get to that space, we got to be able to look at the other gender without judgment. And I would tell you, just look at social media. All the brothers speaking, every little podcast is all about men and women judging each other. That ain't the space to see it. You never see the other side. You never see the other side if you're only looking at from your lens and saying, women doing this, women doing that, women are twerking on the videos, women doing it. If you're looking at it from that perspective, you got blindfolds on. You won't never see the value in sexual energy. You won't even get the game. You just be going back and forth all day. So it is the understanding of that piece that is critical. You know what I mean? Because, at the end of the day, our job is to connect. And if we can't connect with the other side, the other divine energy, we ain't going to be able to elevate in the age of the Aquarius. We ain't going to be able to elevate. That's you, Chrislyn? Yes. Come here. It's my daughter. A beautiful daughter. What's that?
Can I have some brownies, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, close the door back. Bye. Beautiful creation right there. So anybody who's a father of daughters, know that you are blessed. Blessed. So but that's what I'm doing. Building from that space, from that mindset. So open it up for some questions. Definitely gonna drop the link when I post this. I'm gonna update the website, the link for the No Nut November. Just gonna take some emails just so we have a track of everybody, and I can shoot out direct emails about, I want to do it every day, but for sure we're gonna have weekly live sessions. We'll be able to talk and we'll be able to call some people on, and we'll be able to have some dialogue about just how we feel. And I'll go through each day. I'll have like, hey, this is what this week is gonna feel like. These are some things you can do. So everybody's gonna have their own little personal journal that they don't have to share with the group, but the group is to encourage other people, motivate each other, and we want a massive collective of people, that's in this space, that want to elevate, that want to create, that want to understand about sexual energy and transmuting sexual energy, right? Because that's what we're here for, right? Whether we accept it or not, it's here, right? Whether we identify with what is acceptable or not acceptable, it's going to be here, and it's powerful if we utilize it right, you know. And then jokers be talking about like, yo, practicing sex magic. Yo, you ain't even did this with yourself yet. How you trying to do it with somebody else? That don't even make no sense. That don't even make no sense. You trying to do it with a partner, you ain't doing it with yourself. You ain't even tapped into you. How you trying to tap somebody else? Tap into you first. Tap into you first. Tap into you first. Tap into you first. That's key. And that's the principles of the brand, man. We're talking about consciousness. Be thyself, love thyself, know thyself. And what is happening in real time, because we understand the power of repetition. That's why those is in threes. Be thyself, know thyself, love thyself. And anytime somebody sees the shirt, say love thyself, or say know thyself, or say be thyself. Now that thought, or those words, or that feeling, when they see that, is now tapped into the ether space in the universe. And one affirmation at a time will reprogram in the subconscious mind through art and fashion, right? Because fashion is touch, right? There's a certain touch when you have a certain cloth on you. You know what I mean? That certain cloth it's tapping into a touch, but then it taps into how we feel, because fashion taps into our expression of self, right? So even though we are not the clothes, we are wearing the clothes, but we wearing this body too, because we ain't the body either. So yeah, fashion is beyond, you know what I mean? It's tapping into that creative, and it's art, and we're utilizing these symbols. So that's what we're doing with the brand. We reprogram the subconscious mind. And so what I want to do with other people is, you know, I want to be able to build and connect, because a lot of people that I'm building with are either starting brands, want to start brands, have ideas for brands. And my goal is to connect with people to help them build, to see their best version of themselves, but give them information that's going to save them time. I'm trying to save you time and energy, because I took a lot of time to get the knowledge to what I want to do in the space I want to be in, right? People don't realize it. I was in Iraq. Like, I joined the army. I went to Iraq. I understand military science. And when you start understanding military science, you would then tap into, you know, high level strategies of thinking as it relates to governments, countries, and war. Oh, you think I can't program and tap into something on social media? Trust me, I know the game, right? And so the first thing they teach you in military science is war don't start with a weapon. War starts with owning the media. What are we owning? What do we own? We own social media. So you got to be able to control the media, the medium in which you communicate. Because once you get to the subconscious mind, you can win the war. You ain't got to bomb nobody. Now, it's tough. It's emotional to go through war, because we understand there's an energy that's being exchanged. And when we see these things in the NBA, as the NBA came back out, right, and you see these fans spitting on people, doing all this other stuff, and then you see the player get all mad, you know that person that spit on them just took all the energy. That's why they don't that's why they don't try to show the Joker's face, because they don't want to give them the energy that they came there to get. That's what it's about. This is a whole game. Right? There's a book on the website. You can download it for free. How to eat, melanin people, how to eat and devour your energy. Right? We don't understand, like, our energy being devoured out here by vampires, because we are very energy undisciplined. We just let it go. We don't understand the value in it. So when the exchanges happen, we getting robbed. We getting robbed on the currency exchange. We getting robbed, right? So if we can't get to really understanding our sexual energy on an energetic level, every other energy becomes easy to get gaslighted and taken from us, right? Every time you conjure a particular emotion, there's an energy that's connected to that. So what happened when you angry and frustrated? All your fucking pores open up. Your fucking brain shuts down, because there's a gas that releases in your brain. It's like smoke. Like when they throw a smoke thing in a room, and everybody, that's what's happening in your brain when you're angry. So you ain't thinking right, and you're just releasing all of this energy. Releasing all this energy. It's like the lion when he roars. The lion exhausts so much energy when he roars. He understands that he sleeps a lot. The lion, the king of the jungle, the fucking king of the jungle, sleeps a lot. Just lackadaisical as a motherfucker. This lion is running all around, hunting, doing all that. Big ass lion, just king of the jungle, just sitting his ass in there and sleep, right? Because he understands the power of his energy. He can go from 0 to 100 like that. But if he like that all the time, he ain't worth 2 dams as the king of the jungle, right? He ain't worth 2 dams. So that is what's happening in his space. If you are out here as a man, you just busting nuts, busting nuts, busting nuts, busting nuts, busting nuts. You ain't no damn king. You a lazy ass lion. That's what you is. You a lazy lion. Because energetically, that's not sustainable. That's not sustainable, right? That's not sustainable, right? And it's important for us to understand and internalize that message as it relates to, energetic world and the quantum world. There's always an exchange, right? Once we see that, once we value that, we'll be very, very intentional about our energy and our space. Very, very intentional. Right. And I speak about intent and I say those words intent so much because I want y'all to understand the separation between intent and goal. Intent and goal. Intent and goal. Really drive a difference between, separate the lines between a goal and intent. Like, for example, if we're having sex and your goal is to have an orgasm, right? That's a goal, right? That's not the intent. You know what I mean? The intent is I want to be able to connect deeply with my partner. Now that doesn't have to lead to an orgasm, right? You can connect deeply. You can feel them. You can feel stimulated and all these other things without having an orgasm. The orgasm just makes the destination simple, and it takes away the journey that's tethered to it, right? But when you got intents, right, that still can happen. The orgasm can still happen. But you set other intentions prior to getting to this particular destination. And that's the line that I want you to really drive and have you understanding. So please, if you can do this for me, share this with at least 3 people. I don't know how many people you're going to share this with. Share this with many people as you can on this live and say, hey, do you want to participate in No Nut November? Because I think it's going to be an amazing event. I did this one time before, but it was a more private group. This time we're going to do it publicly. It was amazing as a private group. I know it's going to be monumental as a public group. We're going to showcase it on Instagram as the medium of choice. We're just going to share. We're going to network and we're going to build. So I'm going to tap into all of the people in this 2020 year that I've said these words to. I want to build with you, right? Again, 80% of them are women, right? If I said those words to you in any shape, way, or form, understand this is what I was tapping into. This is the mindset that I was tapping into. And I got it. Everybody's not in that space where they understood or understand what that meant. But understand that there is an even exchange as it relates to pouring into someone and them pouring into you, right? It's about the intent. What is the intent? And that's what we want to drive. Just what's the intent? You know what I mean? It could lead to a bunch of different things, right? But what is the intent? Because once we establish the intent, then we have understanding. And that's where we really lack in this gender war, or this gender balance, right? We lack a lot of understanding, right? Because we're coming from a judgmental state, right? And one of the big blockers with this is sexual energy. That's the big blocker. Once we get past this cloud of sexual energy, we'll be into a more open space of loving thyself, being thyself, and knowing thyself. That's what it is, man. Just tapping into high vibrational affirmations into the ether spaces that's reprogramming the subconscious mind. I'm telling you, I'm doing some monumental work, and people ain't really seeing the message, but they'll get it over time, right? Because it's the crazy thing. 6-7 years ago when I started this brand, people was like, nah, man, you ain't gonna be able to sell to black people. Not that. Like, they too worried about Gucci, Louis, and this and that, right? But we getting there. Because at the end of the day, you seen Crystalline. I ain't even building this brand for me. It's hers. So it's got time. It's got time to fester. She's only 10, and she's already doing good work. She made a couple of designs already, and she's ready to get out there. But I appreciate y'all tapping in. Reach out to me if you got any questions. Shoot me the DM. I'm gonna post this here in a minute, along with the link. I'm gonna drop that on my bio before the end of the day. Peace, love, and light. Peace, fam. This vibe out for a little second. Y'all see the shirt? My favorite verse, man. Favorite verse, right? High level affirmations, right? High level affirmations. I say you are God's, all sons of the Most High. Who we got in there? Who we got in the chat? Okay, man. That dang mango butter oil, legit. It's legit. And then oh yeah, you gotta reach out to me. I think I reached out to you one time, but I gotta get you that 2-piece, that top and bottom set. Yeah, we gotta link up. Cause I got something else that I'm putting out that I know you'll like. So yeah, let's build. You heard it the first time. You hear it again in a different way. But peace.